Ever wonder how truly intelligent people choose their words? It's not just about intellect, it's about wisdom, restraint, and communication. Today we're diving into 10 things an intelligent person never says, with timeless lessons from Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca. These ideas are more than just modern advice. They're grounded in ancient wisdom that has stood the test of time. Watch till the end to transform the way you speak and connect. 1. I already know that. Let us begin with a sizable one, shall we? Simply stating, I already know that, may appear to be innocuous. Nonetheless, it conveys the idea that you place a higher value on information than on growth. In his teachings, Epictetus asserted that it is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already can do. Instead than bragging about what you know, true intelligence is about maintaining an open mind and a sense of curiosity. A response that is more appropriate would be something along the lines of, "That is an interesting point," or "I would love to hear more about that." The flow of the discourse is maintained, and the other person's point of view is respected, all thanks to this action. Take into consideration the following. When you dismiss someone by saying, "I already know that," you are effectively killing a possible opportunity to acquire new knowledge. There is always room to enhance your grasp of anything or to look at it from a different perspective, even if you consider yourself to be an expert on the subject. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher and Roman emperor, considered the need of humility in the pursuit of knowledge on numerous occasions. "Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself," he composed in his writing. This entails showing respect for the contributions made by other people in conversations, while yet holding yourself accountable for maintaining an open mind as well. An illustration of this would be if a co-worker were to discuss an idea that you are already familiar with. Ask them, "How did you come across this idea?" rather than telling them to stop talking, or "What are your thoughts on the matter?" A collaborative atmosphere is created as a result of this, and it may even bring to light aspects that you had not previously considered. Curiosity is a sign of intelligence, so keep that in mind. Not only are you able to cultivate relationships with other people, but you are also able to broaden your own perspectives by responding to what other people have to say. Take a deep breath, smile, and maintain your interest the next time someone provides information that you are already familiar with. And hey, if you find that this realization strikes a chord with you, give this video a thumbs up and stay around, because the following point will alter the way you think about or approach responsibility. 2. That's not my problem. Oh, the icy disregard for accepting responsibility. Intelligent individuals are aware of the capacity of empathy, despite the fact that it is true that we cannot fix every situation. What injures the hive injures the bee, Marcus Aurelius informed us with this proverb. To put it another way, detaching ourselves from the shared human experience is the result of ignoring the situation of another individual. That's not my problem. You may try delivering a little gesture of support instead. For example, you could say something like, "How can I help?" or "I hope it works out for you." The smallest act of compassion can go a long way. When you say, "That's not my problem," you are acting as if you are erecting a wall, which is a barrier that prevents you from connecting with others, growing, or having a constructive impact on the world. Stoic philosophy teaches us that we are all related to one another. We were born to work together like feet, hands, and eyes, like the two rows of teeth, upper and lower, Marcus Aurelius repeated to himself on a regular basis as he meditated on the concept of engaging in labor for the sake of the community. In a business environment, give this some thought. Think of a situation in which a co-worker is having difficulty with a task that is not immediately relevant to you. Although you might be inclined to disregard it, providing even a little piece of advice or demonstrating moral support can help build your relationship and foster an environment that is conducive to collaboration. There is no telling when an act of kindness will come back to haunt you. For personal connections, the same principle applies. The phrase, "not my problem," is a way to undermine trust in a friend who is venting about a problem. Rather than saying something like, "I'm here for you," you may say something like, "Let me know if there's any way I can help." It is possible that your empathy will make a significant difference, even if you are unable to directly fix their problem. Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness, Seneca writes in one of his books. It is possible to demonstrate this idea in each and every contact. It is not about taking on every responsibility. Rather, it is about acknowledging that lending a helping hand, even if it is just metaphorically intended, creates connections that are more robust and smarter. Pay attention to the following segment, in which we will discuss a term that may appear to be harmless, but has the potential to cause significant harm to your relationships. Stay away from it. 3. I don't care. If we are being completely honest, the statement "I don't care" not only gives the impression of being dismissive, but it also eliminates any possibility of having a meaningful conversation. We are waves of the same sea, leaves of the same tree, and flowers of the same garden, Seneca articulated in his writing. There is a chance to connect with someone in every interaction, regardless of how insignificant it may be. What you should do instead is reframe your reaction with something neutral yet engaging, such as saying something like, "That's interesting," or "Tell me more." This maintains the possibility of understanding and connection between the parties involved. Although it may appear to be a strategy to save time or energy, saying "I don't care" can really give the impression that you are uncaring or uninterested in the situation. Even in conversations that may not instantly pique your interest, the Stoics believed that every moment is an opportunity to behave with virtue, and that one of the ways to do this is by demonstrating respect for other people. Nature has given us one tongue but two ears, so that we may hear twice as much as we speak, explained Seneca, who had a profound insight of human nature. Seneca taught us this. This serves as a reminder to listen, even when the subject matter is not something that we are very enthusiastic about. Despite the fact that you may not necessarily agree with what they are saying, listening is a kind of respect, since it demonstrates that you esteem the person who is speaking. Imagine, for example, a friend or co-worker who is very enthusiastic to tell you about their plans for the weekend or about a new pastime they began. It is better to ask questions like, "What made you interested in that?" or "How did it go?" rather than dismissing them with a statement like, "I don't care." In addition to leaving a long-lasting impression of thoughtfulness, these seemingly insignificant acts of interest have the potential to strengthen your connections. It is also important to note that demonstrating interest does not mean pretending to be concerned about everything. Respecting the one who is in front of you is what it means. The actions of other people are beyond our ability to control, but our response is always within our power, as Marcus Aurelius frequently reminded himself. One method to demonstrate intelligence and morality is to replace indifference with attentiveness. This is a straightforward act that has tremendous implications. And while we're on the subject of reactions, make sure you listen to the following section, in which we talk about a term that could give the impression that you are helpless without your knowledge. It is time to rewrite the story of "it's not fair" and transform it into a mindset that is characterized by resilience and development. 4. It's not fair. Just so you know, Stoic philosophers were well aware that life is not a fair place. To paraphrase Epictetus, it is not what happens to you that matters. What matters is how you react to it. Having a victim mindset is only strengthened by complaining about fairness. Ask yourself, how can we make this better? Or what is within my control here? When you are confronted with an unfavorable circumstance, intelligent individuals are more concerned with finding answers than they are with finding problems. Complaining about the injustice of life during the moment may feel therapeutic, but in the long run, it will deplete your energy and prevent you from growing. The Stoics were the first people to concentrate on the things that they could control and to admit that there were things that were beyond their control. Epictetus is credited with offering the following famous quote: "Freedom is the only true power, and that freedom comes when we accept that we cannot control everything." We give up control of how we respond to a situation when we become fixated on the unfairness of the circumstance. If we are clever, we will question ourselves, "What can I do about this?" or "What is my next step?" rather than throwing our hands up in expression of disgust. Not the external circumstances, but rather our own actions and mentality are the focal point of this discussion. Suppose you experienced a setback at work. For instance, you did not receive the promotion that you had been working toward. You could consider asking yourself, "What can I learn from this experience?" Or, "How can I improve moving forward?" as an alternative to statements such as, "It's not fair, I deserved it." The focus moves from feeling like a victim to accepting control of your own progress as a result of this situation. Marcus Aurelius, a master of Stoic thought, consistently reminded himself to accept whatever comes to you woven in the pattern of your destiny, for what could more aptly fit your needs. This is a fundamental principle of Stoic philosophy. It is not about accepting that you will end up living a life of struggle. Rather, it is about cultivating the mindset that you are capable of handling whatever comes your way with dignity and fortitude. When you find yourself in a situation where life seems unjust, keep in mind that it is not the circumstances that matter, but how you react to them. Furthermore, if you decide to take the route of resiliency and positive action, you will discover that even when confronted with challenges, you will become more powerful and intelligent. Stay with me, because in the next section, we are going to discuss a phrase that has the potential to immediately eradicate any possibility of having a fruitful conversation. Ready to put "you're wrong" to the test? We'll jump right in. 5. You're wrong. Even while it may feel pleasant in the moment, telling someone you're wrong in a direct manner almost never results in a discourse that is productive. If someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change, for I seek the truth, Marcus Aurelius encouraged his followers to do. Is there a stronger strategy? You may say something like, "I see your point, but here's another perspective." The door is now open for discourse rather than debate as a result of this. A conversation can be quickly terminated by informing someone, "You are wrong." Let's face it, this is one of the simplest methods to do so. Not only does it give the impression that you are unwilling to engage in real conversation with the other person, but it also puts them on the defensive. If someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change, for I seek the truth, Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations on the subject. He was acutely aware of this fact. The lesson that Marcus is imparting to us here is really significant. Being obstinate in your defense of your opinion is not the hallmark of true intelligence. Rather, it is the willingness to learn and grow. When someone provides an idea that contradicts your own, rather than quickly dismissing them with the phrase, "You are wrong," you might want to consider stating something along the lines of, "I see your point, but I also have a different perspective." This strategy accomplishes two different goals. Initially, it recognizes the truthfulness of the viewpoint held by the other individual, so fostering an atmosphere in which conversation can grow. Second, it gives you the opportunity to articulate your own point of view in a manner that inspires additional investigation while preventing the conversation from devolving into a battle of egos. Seneca also discussed the tendency that we have to be rigid in our thoughts on multiple occasions. It was his assertion that we suffer more frequently in our imaginations than in reality. We present ourselves with the opportunity for personal development and comprehension when we let go of the urge to be right at all times. The ability to declare, "I may not have all the answers, but I'm willing to listen and explore with you," is indicative of intellectual humility, which is one of the fundamental components of intelligence. Take a minute, pause, and instead think of the conversation as an opportunity for both parties to learn from each other. This is something you should do the next time you're in a conversation and you feel the temptation to blurt out, "You are wrong." Not only will you be able to preserve peace, but you will also demonstrate that you place a higher emphasis on what is true than on what is proper. A word that restricts your potential and growth is "I can't do that." In our next section, we will discuss this phrase, which is related to the topic of preserving balance. Have faith in me, you are going to want to hear this. 6. I can't do that. The words "I can't" are two simple phrases that have the power to limit your potential. Consider Seneca's statement, which states, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that they are difficult." Instead of concentrating on restrictions, think about this wise saying, "I'll figure it out," or "Let me explore how I can make it happen," are a better alternative to the phrase, "I can't do that." It is incredible how something as simple as a change in terminology can significantly enhance your self-assurance and motivate those around you. That is something I am unable to do. Despite the fact that these words appear to be harmless, they are actually the covert adversary of improvement. Not only are you referring to a task or a challenge when you say, "I can't," but you are also unintentionally restricting your own potential. It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that they are difficult, Seneca said. This is a beautiful example of Seneca's wisdom. To put it another way, the problem is not the difficulty of the work. Rather, it is our unwillingness to even do it. The moment you say, "I can't," you have already decided the conclusion of the endeavor before you have even attempted to do it. But what if instead of using language that is demoralizing, you use language that is empowering, such as saying something like, "I'll figure it out," or "Let me explore how I can make it happen"? Consider the instances in which you were confronted with a challenge during your life. You should strive to take the initial step with an open mind and declare, "I'll find a way." This is preferable to shrinking back and saying, "I can't do that." Although this change in language may appear to be inconspicuous, it has the potential to dramatically alter your frame of mind and the way you feel about a certain circumstance. The ability to figure things out, to learn, and to keep going forward in spite of setbacks are the characteristics that identify intelligent people. Intelligent people are never defined by what they are unable to do. The Stoic concept of amor fati, which translates to love of fate, instructs us to view adversities not as impediments to our development, but rather as chances for personal development. Instead of saying, "I can't," try saying, "I'll find a way," the next time you find yourself saying, "I can't." It is not enough to simply adopt a more optimistic outlook. Rather, it is necessary to recognize that the ability to alter and develop is constantly present within you. 7. That's impossible. Declaring anything to be impossible frequently tells more about our psychological state than it does about the actual circumstance. Begin each day by telling yourself, "I will encounter difficulties," Marcus Aurelius advised his followers. However, "I am able to deal with problems since I have the resources on hand." Try stating something like, "That's challenging, but let's explore our options." Instead of dismissing ideas, try saying something like that. This not only demonstrates your toughness, but also keeps you open to new ideas. Such a thing is not conceivable. One of the most common knee-jerk reactions that people have when confronted with a challenging situation or a concept that appears to be above their current capabilities is to say this remark. When you declare anything to be impossible, however, you are frequently demonstrating a stuck attitude, which restricts your potential before you have ever begun. Begin each day by telling yourself, "I will encounter difficulties," Marcus Aurelius said in his meditations. "I will face challenges. However, I am able to deal with problems since I have the resources on hand." The lesson that Marcus is imparting to us here is really significant. Intelligence is not assessed by avoiding difficulties. Rather, it is measured by how you approach it. Life is full of challenges and barriers, but not by avoiding them. It is the same as giving up before the game has even begun if you say anything like, "That is impossible." You are, however, opening the door to creativity, invention, and solutions when you reframe the situation as, "That is challenging, but let's explore our options." Consider the following. At the beginning of history, the majority of the most significant accomplishments were considered to be impossible. It was someone who had the courage to think that the impossible could be accomplished that was the impetus for the creation of the internet, human flight, and landing on the moon. People looked at the scenario and thought, "This is difficult, but what if it's possible?" It was the same notion that occurred in each of those instances. Seneca also made the observation that difficulties strengthen the mind to the same extent that labor strengthens the body. It is because of this that we are provided with the opportunity to stretch and improve our mental resilience whenever we are confronted with something that we originally considered to be unattainable. Therefore, the next time someone presents a risky concept or a tough assignment, rather than dismissing it as impossible, you should strive to answer with something along the lines of, "That's challenging, but let's see how we can tackle it." That way, you establish yourself as someone who is able to flourish in the face of hardship, and you also create an atmosphere that is conducive to invention and possibilities. 8. That's just how it is. In the world of stagnation, the phrase, "That's just how it is the anthem. Men are disturbed not by things, but by the view which they take of them, Epictetus wrote in his argument. Intelligent people are those who question the established order. Whenever you find yourself saying something like this, take a moment to pause and ask yourself, what could we do differently? This frame of mind encourages creative thinking and forward movement. The situation is exactly as it is. Have you ever been caught in the act of repeating this to yourself? Not only is it the slogan of resignation, but it is also the anthem of stagnation. It gives the impression that there is nothing that can be done to change a situation, and that we are being forced to deal with what is now in front of us. Intelligent individuals, on the other hand, do not accept things in their current state. Rather, they question the established order of things. Men are disturbed not by things, but by the view which they take of them. Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher, observed in a deep declaration. A conclusion that may be drawn from this is that it is not the circumstances themselves that restrict us, but rather the way in which we perceive and react to them. You are essentially giving up on your existing circumstances when you say, "That's just how it is." Instead of seeking for ways to better or change them, instead you are submitting to them. Try pausing and asking questions like, "What could we do differently?" Or, "How can we approach this from another angle?" rather than adopting a mindset of defeat by adopting a mindset of loss. This change in perspective not only makes it possible to come up with inventive solutions, but it also can turn challenges into opportunities. Consider the possibility that Thomas Edison would have acknowledged the constraints of his era and responded with the phrase, "That's just how it is," in response to his early failures. It's possible that we would have never seen the light bulb. On the contrary, he delivered the iconic statement, "I have not failed." 1,000 different ways that won't work have just been discovered by me. It was his reluctance to accept things as they were, and his unrelenting pursuit of progress that brought about the transformation of the world. Similarly, when you are faced with a dilemma, you should not accept it as just how it is. Consider other options, put the standard to the test, develop new ideas, find fresh ways to solve the problem. When you do this, you encourage not just your own development, but also the development of creativity in the world around you. Therefore, the next time you find yourself repeating, "That's just how it is," take a moment to pause and ask yourself, how can I actually change this? This seemingly insignificant adjustment has the power to completely alter your perspective and bring about significant transformation. A word that might limit your growth and impair your self-confidence is, "I'm not good enough." Stay with us because we will discuss this phrase in the following section. Have faith in me, you're going to want to hear this. 9. You're lucky. The phrase, "you're lucky," may appear to be a compliment. Nonetheless, it frequently minimizes the amount of effort that someone has put out. According to Seneca, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. Rather than that, you should acknowledge the effort by saying something like, "You must have worked really hard for that." It's a minor adjustment, but it demonstrates that you comprehend and value the path that led to the achievement. You have a lot of good fortune. We have all heard it, and at times it seems like a compliment that was meant to be given with good intentions. But before we go any farther, let's dive a little deeper. When someone says, "You're lucky," it has the potential to mistakenly devalue the amount of effort and dedication that they have put into their achievement. One of the most influential Stoic thinkers, Seneca, is credited as saying, "Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity." Therefore, what we frequently seem to be luck is, in reality, the consequence of putting in a lot of effort, remaining persistent, and making the most of opportunities that present themselves. Instead of automatically saying "you're lucky" when you hear of someone's accomplishment, you can strive to acknowledge their effort by saying something along the lines of, "You must have worked really hard for that." Not only does this modest alteration offer credit where credit is due, but it also emphasizes the importance of work over chance. Take into consideration the fact that when you tell someone that they are lucky, you are minimizing the amount of time, effort, and sacrifice that went into achieving their success. However, by acknowledging the effort that they have put in, you are helping to cultivate a culture that values endurance and effort. What is the most exciting part? It motivates other people to acknowledge that success is not a gift, but rather something that must be earned. The Stoics had a profound understanding of the significance of discipline and preparation. They did not believe in relying on luck. Rather, they concentrated on developing virtue and exercising control over their actions. When Seneca remarked, "Luck is a matter of preparation and opportunity, and it is the preparation that gives us the power to create our own future," he put it in a way that was both profound and beautiful. Consequently, the next time you witness someone accomplish anything, rather than attributing it to luck, acknowledge the effort that they have put into it. This uncomplicated change not only demonstrates respect for their journey, but it also inspires others to put in the effort necessary to attain their own accomplishment. 10. I'm not good at that. Those that are intelligent are aware that skills can be acquired through training. If you tell yourself, "I'm not good at that," you are limiting your growth. Take Seneca's philosophy as your guide instead. Every new beginning comes from the end of some other beginning. Attempt to say something along the lines of, "I'm still learning," or "I'd like to improve at that." This is an indication of a growth mindset, which is one of the characteristics that distinguishes genuine intelligence. It's not something I'm very good at. When you are confronted with a fresh chance or a problem, how many times have you heard someone else, or perhaps even yourself, using this phrase? The statement, "I'm not good at that," is a statement of limitation, despite the fact that it may appear to be an admittance of innocence. The statement implies that you have the belief that your capabilities are fixed and that you are unable to develop further than where you are currently. However, clever people are aware that skills are not innate. Rather, they are acquired via learning. Every new beginning comes from the end of some other beginning, Seneca reminds us, demonstrating the tremendous understanding he possesses. A reminder that growth frequently results from venturing outside of our comfort zones and attempting activities that we are not yet proficient in is provided by this. Expressing something like, "I'm still learning," or "I'd like to improve at that," is a better way to phrase the statement than expressing, "I'm not good at that." A growth attitude, which is one of the true trademarks of intelligence, is revealed by this rather minor change in vocabulary. By acknowledging that growth is a process rather than an immediate conclusion, you are demonstrating that you are still learning. It is a way of thinking that places a higher emphasis on labor and advancement than on instantaneous perfection. Whether it's the ability to play an instrument, the mastery of a sport, or even the acquisition of a new language. Think about any skill you've developed during your life. Don't you think you weren't very good at it when you first started? You achieved success by willingly engaging in the process of learning and making a commitment to enhancing your skills over time. The Stoics instill in us the notion that we should always be working toward bettering ourselves, regardless of where we begin. In addition, Marcus Aurelius was constantly reminding himself that the situation he was in at the moment was not where he would remain for the rest of his lifespan. The impediment to action contributes to the advancement of action, he stated. The obstacles that stand in the way end up becoming the path. Consequently, rather than claiming that you are not good at that, you should acknowledge that you are on a path toward increasing your knowledge and skills. This transformation not only is beneficial to your own development, but it also inspires others to adopt an attitude that is comparable to your own. As we get to the end of our voyage, It is important to keep in mind that intelligence is not about knowing everything. Rather, it is about remaining open to new information, learning, and making an effort to grow each and every day. Consequently, the next time you are confronted with something difficult, rather of exclaiming, "I'm not good at that," you should try to embrace it with the mindset of continued development. Make the statement, "I'm still learning," and observe how your self-assurance and capabilities increase as a result of this statement. Inspired by the ageless wisdom of Stoic philosophy, here are 10 things that an intelligent person would never say. In conclusion, there you have it. Keep in mind that avoiding these phrases is not the only thing that is important. It is also important to create a mindset that is focused on growth, humility, and connection. Should you find that this video strikes a chord with you, please give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who would be interested in these ideas. What are you waiting for if you are not currently a member of our community? Find out now. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and come along with us on this path of self-improvement and enlightenment. To quote Marcus Aurelius, "Dwell on the beauty of life." Thank you for viewing, and may you continue to do so. At least until we meet again, remember to be wise and compassionate.